Local webcasting for a worldwide audience.
Hi, and I'm King Mob, and this week's been fraught. At home, there's been so much going on at King Mob Towers, this and that, and emotional things, and long and short of it is, I wasn't sure what to do for this week's show. So I got out the Ouija board. Don't try that at home, kids. By the way, a Ouija board is two words: oui, French for yes, and ja, German for yes. So actually, a Ouija board is a yes board. And I set it the mental idea, what would I need to do for a show this week? And it spelled out Louis, Lewes. And I thought, yeah, Louis Armstrong, king of the jazz and scene and a great musical innovator, and everything's going to be fine. And then it went boom. And the CD stopped. And the glass started moving on its own. And it spelled out, no, you dummy. The city of St. Louis in the USA. Okay, so that means kind of ragtime. It means Scott Joplin. They have a Scott Joplin museum in St. Louis. And in that museum is a large gilded Steinway piano. That's what you can hear now. Who's playing it? Every Tuesday afternoon they have to shut at 4 o'clock because at 4:15 the ghost of Scott Joplin comes to play. Yeah, well, it turns out St. Louis is a pretty strange place, actually. Probably because I started the Ouija board. That museum, the Scott Joplin Museum, is on Lafayette Street. And further down Lafayette Street is a small house, 3-story house. And when the weather gets cloudy and it looks like there's rain in the air, a woman appears in the window. And she's a beautiful young woman with ebony skin. And she sings this song.
Riding along in my automobile, my baby beside me at the wheel. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild. Cruising and playing the radio, with no particular place to go. Riding along in my automobile, I was anxious to tell her the way I feel. So I told her softly and sincere, and she leaned and whispered in my ear, cuddling more and driving slow, with no particular place to go. Particular place to go. So we parked way out on the Kokomo. The night was young and the moon was gold, so we both decided to take a stroll. Can you imagine the way I felt? I couldn't unfasten a safety belt, riding along in my calaboose, still trying to get her belt to loose. All the way home I held a grudge for the safety belt that wouldn't budge. Cruising and playing the radio with no particular particular place to go.
Yeah, they don't forget Chuck Berry in St. Louis, because he's one of their most famous sons, but not necessarily the most famous, even though he was handsome, talented, brilliant songwriter, lyricist, and that guitar solo is to die for. People sing all kinds of songs in St. Louis. 250 years ago, there were just 5 enormous native Indian burial mounds. Huge things with ritual chambers and even kind of primitive shopping complex. I know that's strange. And when the French came, they just knocked them down. Okay, let's get rid of them and build a city instead. But what the Native Americans say is that, that released some restless spirits in the air. Chuck was restless, no particular place to go. He had to get out of there to get to Chicago. T-Bone Burnett comes out of St. Louis. He's a restless spirit too.
Frank, who was swank, robbed a bank with a tank for a prank. Sam, who was glam, ran a scam from Siam to Vietnam. Dean, who was clean, had a scene with the Queen for a magazine. Joe wasn't slow, but didn't know how to blow all the dough from the show. Palestine, Texas. Palestine, Texas. Palestine, Texas. Palestine, Texas. In a two-seater for a heater had a 30mm. Shecky worked blue for he knew it was true he would not get his due. Ann knew the plan as she ran from a fan with a man from the clan. Phyllis would thrill us, then grill us, then kill us with bacillus. Palestine, Texas. Palestine, Texas. Palestine, Texas. Palestine, Texas. Go! Presidents come and presidents go. They rise like smoke, they fall like snow. Do you believe the things you say? Your lofty thoughts are filled with hay. But is this faith that you profess that led to this colossal mess? When you awaken from this coma, you'll find you were in Oklahoma. When you come out of this self-delusion, you're gonna need a soul transfusion.
Yeah, there's T-Bone Burnett traveling the weird route to Palestine, Texas, wherever that is. Then there's Miles Davis. Yeah, the Miles Davis, the world's greatest band leader, the unbelievable trumpeter. He made his way out of St. Louis, got to New York and fought his way right up to the top. But when he was a kid in St. Louis, he used to practice before he had a trumpet. He had a pea shooter with a pea in it. And he used to sit there popping those peas out of that pea shooter because he was gaining breath control, use of his throat, and more importantly, the use of his very long tongue. You know, Miles left a lot of great quotes behind, but my personal favorite is, "If you understood my music, you'd be me." He also has some pretty ripe stuff to say, but I can't say it all on air because most of it involves foul language, and we're not allowed to do that here on Radio Lewes. Instead, we do inference. We're subtle. St. Louis, you know, it's not a music town. Nobody thinks St. Louis like you think Memphis, it's a music town. You think Detroit. But, I mean, just led by the Ouija board, boy, that town was full of talent. And Ann Peebles was another strange St. Louisian who took her personal demons elsewhere. In this case, she took them to Memphis and the great producer Willie Mitchell.
I can't stand the rain against my window, bringing back sweet memories. Yeah, when the rain
Yeah, I can't stand the rain. Actually, that's not true. I love it. I actually really enjoy the rain, but that's just me. The Isley Brothers were formed in 1960 in St. Louis. And Ernie and his brothers formed this band, and they were playing local and doing well, but how to get a breakout, how to get a hit, how to get across wasn't happening. So Ernie went to see his Aunt Clara, who was a conjure woman. And he asked her, what do we need to do to make this a success? So she inhaled a few vapors, and she looked in her scrying glass, and she went into a funny eye mode, and then she looked at Ernie and she said, I see 4 scarab beetles singing your song. I see a small red-haired Scottish girl singing your song. I see a contract with Tamla. And then he said, what's Tamla? She said, I've no idea, but this is coming through. And the main thing is, you must write songs about shouting. You have to write shout songs. And he said, okay, well, I'll give it a go. In fact, it's not a bad idea. I wanted to do a twist thing, and I think I'll do a twist and jitterbug shout. She said, lose the jitterbug, baby.
Well, you know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Say it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Say it better, yeah. Come on now. Say that you love me. Say that you need me. Say that you want me. You wanna please me. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. I still remember when you used to be 9 years old. Yeah, I was a fool for you from the bottom of my soul. Yeah, now that you've grown up, enough to know. Yeah, you wanna leave me. You wanna let me go. I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. Yeah, you've been good to me, baby. Better than I've been to myself. Hey, hey, and if you ever leave me, I don't want nobody else. Hey, hey, I said I want you to know. Hey, I said I want you to know right now. Yeah, hey, you know you make me wanna shout. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Come on now. Come on now. Yeah, yeah. Now wait a minute. I feel alright. Yeah. Now that I got my woman, I feel alright. Yeah. Every time I think about you, you've been so good to me. You know you make me wanna lift my head up and throw my hands back and kick my heels up and
Yeah, well, Ernie, there's all kinds of churches, but anyway, I'm delighted that shout thing works out for you. That song was covered by Lulu and the Lovers, and as his aunt referred to, Twist and Shout was also recorded by the Isleys. But like everybody else, they came out of St. Louis, but they came out of St. Louis and left and kept moving. I mean, they ended up in Detroit, Michigan, and were signed by Berry Gordy and had some wonderful hits on the Tamla Motown label. Somebody who was not on Tamla Motown but really could have been. He's probably one of the greatest white, blue-eyed soul singers of all time, and that's Michael McDonald. And I've got a lot of time for Michael. He never became a household name. He started his career at the Tivoli Theatre on the Del Mar Loop in St. Louis, which is ranked by the American Planning Association as a great American street. His biggest hit actually was a duet, the song Yamo Be There. It's a great record, but I found an even better performance live with James Ingram. But it's notionally a duet because James Ingram takes the first verse. After that, it's all Michael.
Next is James Ingram.
Heavenly Father, watch us fall. We take from each other and give nothing at all. Well, it's a doggone shame, but never too late for change. So if your love runs low, just reach out and call his name. His name. Now be there. Up that over, y'all be there. Up that over, y'all be there. Up that over, y'all be there. Wherever you go.
I love that haircut. What do you think?
Never be lonely, lost in the night. Just run from the darkness, looking for the light. Oh, it's a long, hard road that leads to a brighter day. Yeah, now, and if your luck run low, you just reach out and call my name. My name, y'all be there. Up that over, 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 y'all be there. Y'all be there. Wherever you call, y'all be there. Hey, y'all be there. You can count on me, brother. When it's over, leaving away. People got to keep pushing on. No matter how I will be there. Well, it's a long, hard road, leads to a brighter day. Hey, so if your love runs low, just reach out and call his name. Call his name. Y'all be there. Up that over, y'all be there. Y'all be there. Up that over, y'all be there. Up that over, y'all be there. Hey, up that over, my Father who art in heaven, yeah. Sing on my brother man. Y'all be that name, yeah. He'll always be there. He'll be right there.
Oh man, that's Blue Eyed Soul. Michael McDonald, what a singer. Albert King, decent singer, but what a guitar player. Came out of St. Louis. They put a statue of him in Forest Gate Park. And he's there with his guitar, this statue. And then a couple of years back, they put in like a kids' play area just in, to the left of that. And so now young mums are there with their children and they're playing in the sunshine and babies are in prams. And the somber eyes of Albert King staring down at them. Boy, that's a weird picture.
The phone wall, and then you find your phone been disconnected. You can't even make no call. You holler out for your baby, oh, and she's not there. You look in the closet, buddy, and you find it's all bare. Oh, that's what the blues is, people. What the blues is all about. Oh, that's a hard pill to have to swallow. When you find out what the blues is all about. Now listen to this. I went out my backyard. You know I whistled for my dog. He ran up under the house, people, like he didn't even know me at all. Now I hadn't fed him 2 or 3 days, and he was looking kind of thin. Oh, when your dog turns your back on you, buddy, you know you haven't even got a friend. That's the blues, people. That's what the blues is all about. Oh, it's a hard pill to swallow. When you find out what the blues is all about. Oh, no. I think I got it. I went out to my mailbox. I got a bunch of bills that I can't pay. I guess my wife been out shopping again while I've been at work all day. I see the man coming with his tools. Now I guess they're gonna cut off my water. You know they got my gas yesterday, and they're coming right back for the light tomorrow. Oh, that's what the blues is, people. That's what the blues is all about. Well, that's a hard pill to swallow, buddy. When you find out what the blues is all about.
Yeah, that's Albert King, the man with the crosscut saw guitar. And he also did tracks like The Hunter. I love The Hunter. That's one of my favorites. But let's talk about Donny Hathaway. Let's talk about the ghetto. Let's talk about... St. Louis is one of the few places in the States, big cities, that actually had, and still does, a prosperous Afro-American section. But it also has the projects. It has the down places, and that's where the keyboard player and singer and composer Donny Hathaway came from. He also brought a few kind of personal demons with him out of St. Louis. He was a great composer. He worked with Curtis Mayfield at Curtin Records and worked with Roberta Flack. And he wrote one of the classic Christmas songs, This Christmas. Got a lot of time for Donny Hathaway, but the guy had serious problems, and they dogged him all his life, mental health issues, and he fell out with many, many people. And on his last album, which he never completed, he was in the studio, and he thought that the studio was taking the music from his head and beaming it to another place that he didn't like. And he went home that night and to his hotel room and killed himself. Real loss. This is Donny Hathaway. Okay, let's leave Donny just out there where he belongs, in the world of the groove. And as far as I'm concerned, that's where he is, and that's what he does. And we should all enjoy Donny whenever possible. I know I certainly do. Fontella Bass. What a name. I mean, if you call Fontella Bass, you better be able to sing. Fortunately, she could. And she recorded one of the... Only really had one big hit, but that hit is a stoned classic. Every time I play it when I DJ live, if kids are 15, 16, never heard it before, they get up and dance to this song. It's called Rescue Me. Yeah, well, William Burroughs, the great writer, is out of St. Louis, as is Vincent Price, the horror film actor, responsible for some terrific movies, Witchfinder General, The Abominable Dr. Phibes, one of my personal favorites. I love that movie. And all the Poe adaptations, Pit and the Pendulum, House of Usher, etc. Now, both men were gay and on the scene in St. Louis at the same time. Sorry, I should say St. Louis. I've been instructed that I'm to say St. Louis. That's correct. I like to be correct. William Burroughs and Vincent Price, an unlikely pairing, both from wealthy families, both sophisticated young men at that time, back in the 30s, embarked on a brief romance, as it turns out. Burroughs notes this in his dream journal, and I've got to assume it's true, that the two men... I mean, Vincent Price was outgoing and lively and cultured and urbane, and Burroughs was a touch sullen. So they're an odd couple. And in those days, that kind of couple was illegal. So they took the ferry over the Missouri River to East St. Louis and spent a very happy afternoon together in a hotel, which William Burroughs remembered for the rest of his life. And whenever they asked William, "What's your favorite piece of music?" he said, "The East St. Louis Toodaloo." love the gong at the end. That's Steely Dan with their version of East St. Louis Toodaloo, written by the great composer Duke Ellington. I hope William would approve. Just down the street in Washington from that mysterious hotel, which cannot be named for legal reasons, is a small church, Corpus Christi. And in 1959, a young woman named Bullock was getting married to a man named Turner. That man named Turner was Ike Turner, and he was a successful band leader. And Miss Bullock was a up-and-coming young singer. And Ike had asked her to marry him. And in that church, Ike had had a few drinks before the ceremony, and so when the preacher said a load of stuff about fidelity and chattels and worldly goods, Ike just gave him that big old grin and said, "I do." When it came for Miss Bullock's turn, and she was asked to love, honor, and obey Mr. Turner, she took a long, hard look at him and then said, "I do."
He gets me in the dark and he says he's my man, but when we walk down the street, he never holds my hand. He said one day that he will marry me, but he tells his friends that that will never be.
I can't believe what you say, 'cause I see what you do. I can't believe what you say, 'cause I see what you do.
When we go to a dance, I have to go in alone, but he always catches me before I get home. Then he wants to hug and kiss on me. Everybody's sleeping and no one can see.
I can't believe what you say, 'cause I see what you do.
He was doing it again. He said one day that I would be his wife, but he wants me to wait for the rest of my life.
I can't believe what you say, 'cause I see what you do. I can't believe what you say, 'cause I see what you do. I can't believe what you say, 'cause I see what you do.
Yeah, well, there's the happy couple, and that was their first hit, but things went downhill from there, as everyone knows. Not a happy story, Ike and Tina Turner. Still, they made some great music, and it's difficult to, there's a lot of blame gets thrust at Ike Turner, and this is a problem I've been wrestling with recently on the radio. Do you play material by people that have had uncomfortable, difficult, unpleasant lives? I think you have to. If the music's great, that's what it's about. There are some people in show business that I know of who are really not very nice people, but I have to separate that, and I have to listen to the music for what it is. Ike Turner, hell of a band leader, fantastic guitar player, fantastic innovator. Enough said. T.S. Eliot, the poet. Maybe you think he's English. I certainly did. He's not. Comes from St. Louis. Another restless soul. The cold winds of St. Louis blew him out there and to England, but not till he was 25. And then he became really a naturalized English person and a poet of high renown. But he always said, my work was really mostly influenced by those first 25 years in the atmosphere of St. Louis. By the way, this is Jeremy Irons going to come on and give you the full English. And why not?
We are the hollow men. We are the stuffed men. Leaning together, headpiece filled with straw. Alas. Our dried voices when we whisper together are quiet and meaningless as wind in dry grass, or rat's feet over broken glass in our dry cellar. Shape without form, shade without color, paralyzed force, gesture without motion. Those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom remember us, if at all, not as lost, violent souls, but only as the hollow men, the stuffed men. Eyes I dare not meet in dreams, in death's dream kingdom, these do not appear. There the eyes are sunlight on a broken column. There is a tree swinging and voices are in the wind singing, more distant and more solemn than a fading star. Let me be no nearer in death's dream kingdom. Let me also wear such deliberate disguises. Rat's coat, crow skin, cross staves in a field, behaving as the wind behaves, no nearer. Not that final meeting in the twilight kingdom, with eyes I dare not meet in dreams. This is the dead land. This is cactus land. Here the stone images are raised. Here they receive the supplication of a dead man's hand under the twinkle of a fading star. Is it like this in death's other kingdom? Waking alone at the hour when we are trembling with tenderness, lips that would kiss form prayers to broken stone. The eyes are not here. There are no eyes here. In this valley of dying stars, in this hollow valley.
There are no eyes.
This broken jaw.
No eyes here in this falling valley. Wow. T.S. Eliot, The Hollow Man. I guess when you're a poet, they give you like glasses so that you can see things in a different way. I don't know, I want them. Hey, what's this? Oh, I know. This is Sufjan Stevens. I mean, he made an album about Illinois. In fact, he made 2 albums about Illinois. Well, let him tell you.
Oh, life with your shoulders in the mirror. From the park, went to go around and brought you there. In the car, when your mother lost her temper. The catalog and the catastrophic smile. Let the bugles play the sermon on the rain. I kissed you on the face. I kissed you on the playground. Oh, Father John, can I tell me what's right and wrong? Can I tell me how John before I get around you? Oh, Father John, pick it up with a band on the Ronald Reagan tollway. Let's go forget about yourself. Illinois, it ran from the Ronald Reagan tollway. Forget about yourself and all your disguises. Oh, Father John, you cannot tell me what's right and wrong. You cannot tell me. In the mortal life, far in the morning light, we're back from Bloomington. We let the runners win. Far in the morning light, we let the movies play, and we can drum the holiday. Pick it up with the band on the Ronald Reagan tollway. Break down, let's go. Forget about yourself. Illinois, immigrant from the Ronald Reagan tollway. If I'm wrong, makes nothing right about yourself. Snowmobile on the field where the gunners throw their weight around. Forget about yourself and all your
Well, Sufjan. Keep going, Sufjan. Boy, he's a wonderful artist, but I never have a clue what he's on about. But anyway, that's theme related because that's set in Illinois and East St. Louis, just over the river in Illinois, and we're nearly at the end of the show, which is a great shame because things I haven't mentioned, like Ben asked me, what's up with that big arch thing they have there? What movie did it get blown up in, or what?
It was the.
It's a novel, yeah.
It was the first Percy Jackson novel.
The Lightning Thief guy, right?
Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, the first novel by I've just forgotten the author's name.
All right, and they blew up the
the
bridge.
arch got blown to bits. Yeah.
Okay, so we didn't mention that. We didn't mention St. Louis University or the cathedral. I mean, the town is. Maybe I should do another show, but not next week, because next week I'm going to do Detroit. And I'm going to finish where I started before the interruption by the Yes Yes board. I'm going to play you what I wanted, and it's actually on theme anyway. It's St. Louis Blues by Louis Armstrong, or Louis Armstrong and the St. Louis Blues. Either way, it's a great track.
Local webcasting for a worldwide audience.